Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Origin Story, where we dive into how your favorite YouTubers got started and where they're going. I'm Mike.
And I'm JP, and our guest today is Camille Johnson and her channel Offbeat Look. Camille, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're really excited. So in this episode, we're going to learn a little bit about Camille's past and why she started and created her YouTube channel and where she's going in the future. That's kind of the whole premise of the podcast, obviously, origin story. And so for those who don't know our guest tonight, Camille Johnson is the woman behind the channel Offbeat Look. Her channel is her creative outlet to share videos about beauty, fashion, hair, and lifestyle topics. Her videos are really inspiring to anyone who watches them, but those who want to express themselves can really be inspired by what she puts out there. I also think she has created an amazing community of over 385,000 chameleons. That's what she calls her community. For those who have watched her videos, she has 126 of them that are live. I'm going to guess there's some hidden ones out there. Yeah. And they have been watched over 32 million times. That's an amazing feat in itself. So check out her channel to be inspired to express yourself and learn a little bit about fashion. I know I did. As everyone who watches our podcast knows, I wear the same kind of clothes all the time. So I can express myself in so many different ways now that I've watched her channel. And while you're at it, check out her Instagram and her TikTok and be excited about some awesome things on the horizon for her. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to dig into your past, present, and future.
That was a great intro. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm starting to get a little bit better at them, but it's always nervous. It's hard to break down a channel in just 70 words, but I feel like yours is broad, but also all on the same topics itself. But before we get to YouTube, let's talk about growing up in Connecticut. Connecticut is not so much a very diverse state, what was growing up there like for you? How did you enjoy nature, being outside of New York City, all of those kind of things coming together? And how did that create the person you are today?
So I think a lot of places in Connecticut are pockets of not diverse areas, but then the town that I'm from, Windsor, it's very diverse. So I went to school with like every type of person, like visually, socioeconomically. So it was a really cool way to just kind of like meet a bunch of people across different backgrounds. But the first year, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I was born in Maryland.
Okay.
And then I grew up there, but it was the years where I don't like really remember. So that doesn't really count. So I just say that I grew up in Connecticut. So I moved there in 4th grade. I made friends at the middle school. And then I went to boarding school for my freshman year of high school. And it was just this school. It's like one of those New England boarding schools that my sister went to, and it was hard to get into. So I just like applied just in case, and I got in. So I was like, okay, well, I have to go. Otherwise I would waste this opportunity. That one wasn't very diverse.
What boarding school was that?
Sorry?
What boarding school was it? Andover?
Loomis Chaffee, but they played Andover. Okay, So like same thing.
Yeah.
So my sister loved it, but it just wasn't really my scene. So I decided to leave that and then go back to public school. So I went to the public high school in Windsor, and I really liked it there. And I still had friends that I knew from before. And then the school had art classes. They had like cooking stuff. They had fashion design. They let me do an independent study. So it was just kind of like all of this stuff that Loomis didn't have. So I really liked that. But what I didn't like about Connecticut is is just very suburban. Like I felt like I was trapped in like Desperate Housewives without the good drama. And it was just like not really like much interesting stuff going on compared to like New York. So I just felt like by the time I finished high school, I needed to get out and go somewhere, like literally anywhere. So that's why when I applied to schools, I only applied to colleges out of state, because there was just no way I was gonna stay.
Yeah, looking for a new experience. So when you said there was like, art classes, cooking classes, things like that, is that kind of where you kind of got into that? Or when, growing up, were you also, were you artistic? Like, did you like to draw? Like, what kind of, were you a creative person growing up, or did that kind of come to light in more of like, when you started going to the public schools or things like that? Like, where did kind of your creativity come from?
I think I've always been creative, and looking back, it's kind of interesting to see like how I expressed it when I was younger. So I was always into like fashion and like dressing my siblings up and all of that as a kid. And then when I went to high school, then I was like, you know what, I should be a fashion designer. But they didn't have anything like that at Loomis, and they did at Windsor High. So I was like, you know what, it would make sense if I go there and I'll take like the fashion classes, fashion 1, fashion 2. You learn how to sew and do patterns and all of that. And then they let me to do like fashion 3 as an independent study, where I just got like the whole classroom and all of the machines, because I was making a prom dress. So I took that time to do that. And for some reason they trusted me with the whole classroom and no teacher in there. So that was pretty nice. But also just like cooking is interesting, and I feel like that's kind of an art. And then baking, like you get to decorate everything, and I think that's really fun. And I've always just liked hands-on, like creating things. So I think that's a big reason why I liked the public school better than the other one.
I think the baking, cooking and fashion have a lot in common from an expressive standpoint. Plating, I could say is very much like fashion. It's not even, if you watch Michelin star chef or someone from any of those TV shows, their plating is just as beautiful to look at as an amazing piece of jewelry or clothing or something, even art. It is art in its own way. So I could see them going together really well. And fashion, so you started these fashion classes in high school, but what was the drive to fashion? Because like there's a difference between like fashion and being interested in clothing, right?
Yeah, I think I've always been interested in clothing and what's the word for it? Putting clothes together.
Ensembles?
Like
I think that's for
styling.
Styling. There you go. I was well.
I've always been interested in clothing itself and styling. But one thing that I found is like a lot of clothes and like clothing stores are very boring, and they'll just repeat all of the same like fast fashion stuff, and they're all just kind of the same. So I don't really find a lot of stuff that I like super easily. So I was like, maybe I could make my own stuff and this could be a career. And I really thought that that's what I was going to do for so long, for like years in high school. And then during that time, I took a course at Marist University, like upstate New York, for college credits. It's like their fashion design course. So I was pretty like all in. I got a sewing machine. I was making stuff at home. I got one of those like mannequins. And I applied to all fashion design schools when I was graduating. And then I had like a mini breakdown. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not going to be a good career. I don't know what to do. So then I was like, I should do film school instead, like last minute. And I was always into like video stuff, because I've been making videos my whole high school career. And I was in like the TV production class, and I was the one who would do like morning announcements, reading off of the teleprompter that's like broadcasted to the classrooms. So that was something else that I knew I really liked. And so last minute, after I like got acceptances for fashion design classes or schools, I was like, oh no, I got to reapply everywhere because I don't want to do this anymore. So I just reapplied to everywhere that had film that like made sense. And then that's how I ended up going to University of Rhode Island for film.
Well, yeah, it's tough to call an 18-year-old, right? Like an 18-year-old's now making you were mature in the sense of saying, oh, I'm thinking of this as my life journey. Like this is, if I make this choice, I can't ever come back from it, which is such a like thing that it's tough to tell an 18-year-old, make this choice today. It's going to make the rest of your life. You can't come back from it. But the reality is, I think we'll learn that you can make changes and it doesn't really affect you too terribly. So be open to experimentation and don't set yourself in that path, right? I think that's one thing that you've done really well.
Thank you. And once we hit the rest of the story, you'll see exactly why that is.
Okay.
Well, I like the way it all comes together. You know, it's like, it's so funny when we talk to YouTubers about how it comes together. There's all these little pieces that add up to kind of build the foundation of what this is, you know, what the YouTube channel is built on. And I imagine, I mean, obviously you're making all these videos, you're doing this in high school, like that had to be a big piece of, you know, understanding how to put something together, how to create, how to make it look good, how to make it look professional. There's a lot of pieces that go into that. What made you say like that was, because that's what you went to Rhode Island for?
Yeah.
So what made you say, all right, we're going with that?
Wait, sorry.
It's tough to pick the lane to go down.
Oh yeah. So I was like, I really liked making YouTube videos. And I was like, I know there's like a potential career here and I do want to pursue it, even though like my channel was not very big at the time. I think going in, maybe I had like 4,000 subscribers. But I really liked it. And I was like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I'll learn from the film program. And the film program was very not what I expected. It's like, I definitely see why people who would be into like making actual movies would do it. But anyone who wants to do like something digital or like online type content, it doesn't really overlap that much. So also on the first day of film school, the professor came in and he told everyone that there's not a good chance that they're going to make it in the film world, and that we should consider quitting. So
very motivating.
Like,
what a odd thing to go into. Like even if you're trying, that's like, it's not like you're going into chemistry and they're like, hey, listen, there's not a lot of people that are cut out to do this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
with film, it's like there's a ton of different ways to go. And especially then, like, you hate to see a professor that's a little short-sighted on what the trends are. Especially, what year was that when you went to Rhode Island?
Oh, let's see.
2014.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean,
yes,
that's when you started your channel, January 1st, 2014.
Well,
technically,
current channel.
That's when I started my current channel. I've had several channels. My first one, I posted my first YouTube video on November 13th, 2010. So that was my like after middle school, like between middle school and high school year. And that channel had a really stupid name. So that channel is gone forever.
Is it though? I think we can dig it out.
I privated everything on there, and I actually logged in the other day to see my first video, and it's so bad, but it's so good.
But 2010 was totally different. Like even technology wise, we're talking like the probably that was,
what did you film?
GoPro. So like that was you were using like a little flip camera or something, I'm sure.
It was even worse. I really wanted a camera, and I was like, what is the most achievable camera to get at this age? And so I wanted to get this like little purple point and shoot. Nice. And I needed to save up $100 for it. So I walked my neighbor's dog a bunch, and the dog was like 1.5 times my size. It was a huge German Shepherd, and he loved squirrels. So anytime there was a squirrel, like you're holding the leash and you're getting pulled.
That's so funny.
So that was scary. But I just really wanted the money to get a camera. So I put up with it. And eventually I got my camera. It was pretty bad, had terrible audio. I didn't have a tripod, so I just like stacked it on some books, and then I would like put a mirror behind it so then I could like see the back of the screen.
That's pretty smart.
I mean, that's genius.
Yeah.
The only thing that was like really horrible with that though is that I was really into nails, so I was doing a lot of nail tutorials, but it can't focus on your nail, like it can't do any up close.
Like not
so so to get around that, I would take photos of each step of the nails and then just put it into a video and do a voiceover and just describe what I'm doing.
That's pretty smart for like
That's
a
great.
middle schooler.
That's great. But also,
Yeah.
I mean, you heard it here first, dog walking. I mean, that's the gateway to YouTube right there. It's like, you need to get it done. Get out there and walk a dog,
Dog walking
make
is
some
a gateway
cash.
drug.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
It is.
And now, you know, look at you now. So still working.
Yeah, so that goes to like one question I was going to ask later on, but I think it ties right here. You're very entrepreneurial, right? We talked about something before we recorded today, shows that fact. This shows, okay, I want to get this product. I need to go work, which is not a, I mean, it's like pretty awesome to see a middle schooler like set that goal financially and do that. So where did that entrepreneurial and work hard ethic come from?
I don't know, probably my dad, because my dad's an actuary. So he had to go through a lot of stuff to get there. And then he had to be like a math teacher before he could be an actuary. And then when he got there are like 10 exams that you have to pass. And it takes like a year or two to study for each one. And that was his end goal, is to have all of them done. So I watched him go through all of that. And I guess subconsciously, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And what is an actuary? Because a lot of us have a loose grasp on the English language. Myself, what's an actuary?
I should have explained it.
You just explained it, and I still don't know. But it's math, I think.
It's pretty much the person who decides how much insurance could cost based on various factors. So if you have some sort of problem in the past, or if you have like a current problem, or if you've had a great record, how much that person is going to cost an insurance agency, and then figuring all of that out.
Huh.
Smart guy.
Very.
Smart guy.
It's you did a take your kid to work day once, and I was just like, this is all over my head.
It's over my head right now. But so I imagine, you know, when you were, you know, hey, can I get a camera? What do they say? What do your parents say to you? Did they just say, well, go
buy one,
go figure out how to do it?
Yeah.
You can get a camera. However,
go for it. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Well, actually, so that's kind of a funny story. When I got the camera, and I didn't tell my parents why, but I figured it would be fine. Like, I'm just making videos for the internet, and they're clean. All of my videos are family friendly. You can go back and there's not a single swear word in all 10 years.
That's amazing.
So
we'll see. Put it down in the comments.
I wish we could say the same.
Put it down in the comments.
But yeah, so I got it. And then I was like, yeah, I want to be a YouTuber and I want to make these videos. And they were like, absolutely not. People are getting kidnapped on MySpace. People, like, children are getting taken from their homes. They'll find you, and like all of that. So I was just like, oh, that's unfortunate.
So they didn't approve of it. They were kind of like,
no.
what do you mean? What are you doing nail tutorials?
Yeah, they're like, you're putting your face on there.
How'd you get past that?
Well, I did it anyways, and I just didn't tell them.
Classic.
So I think this is also where staying up late has gotten me, because I have to wait for them to go to bed. And my family is a very late family. So they go to bed at like 2, 3 every night, even like middle of the week nights. So I would just have to wait until they're sleeping. And then I could like stay up all night and edit my videos, and then like try and film when they're not home, and just that kind of stuff. And it worked out for a while. It did, until they found out, and they were like, oh, we said not to do this. And I was like, well, I'm not kidnapped. So
still here. Yeah.
Yes. But they did give me a hard time about it for a while, and then they got over it.
I'm sure they watched the 60 Minutes on a Sunday night and saw some kid, a singular example of a child who got kidnapped from that, which is terrible. And I definitely see that as a negative, but it's difficult to do that. And you are putting out a positive message and not creating anything crazy. It's not like you were going out doing pranks and pushing old ladies over at the curb and videotaping it, right? You're doing something that's a creative outlet. It's a positive that you can do. I
appreciate that. Go back in time and tell them that.
Yeah, I would also caution any kids listening, because I do have one, and 85% of one on the way. listen to your parents too. Work with them.
Yeah.
Come up with a plan to create videos with them, maybe, or figure a way out. Look at What's Inside. They did that, and they're a huge channel. So I think there's good of the do-it-yourself spirit and just get it done on that side, but there's also, I think maybe tell us a little bit about like how after that you convinced your parents that this was a positive and that they then supported you on that.
I think that after they saw like what kind of videos that I was making and that I wasn't giving out any of my personal information, I wasn't showing the house, I wasn't like doing any of that, then they were like, okay, like this is just a hobby, whatever, she's fine. And they left it alone. But I think you are right, especially if you're a little kid, then having a compromise or like working with your parents to figure it out would be a good idea. Just with my parents, there just wasn't any compromising.
Right.
So I had to pick. But that does remind me of this story. There was a YouTuber who had like in the background of her videos, she had her windows showing and you could see out the window, and she lived in a city. So you could see like what buildings were around. And there's this guy and he watched all of her videos and he like put it together between that and like everything that she's shown in all of the videos to triangulate exactly which floor and what apartment she lived on, and then like stalked her after that. So be careful about showing where you live areas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be smart, especially if you're young and starting a channel. Like those are the type of things that sometimes you're just not self-aware of. When you're younger, you don't really understand, especially your reach of where you are on YouTube. It is the internet after all, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's get it back to where we were. And
no, I liked that.
Yeah, that was great. But I want to go back to Rhode Island. So you're in film school, which probably at that time was not focused on teaching anyone other than the medium of the film industry. And so you're there from 2014 to 2016. Why did you decide to leave there?
Well, after the first semester, when the guy was like, drop out of film, I was like, okay. So, but I mean, I came to that.
You took his advice right away. You're like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa. He's like, I get paid by the university.
Sorry?
No, sorry.
The professor's like, I get paid by the university. I don't care
he's like,
if you're here or not.
Exactly. He's like, fewer students, the easier it is for me. No grading.
Right.
But I came to the conclusion myself because I was just like, this isn't what I want to do. So I switched to the business school and started majoring in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Which makes sense for me today.
Yeah. And I'm sure it has taught you some amazing lessons.
Yeah, I did. I learned a lot in their program at URI for entrepreneurship. We'll get to the rest. But oh shoot, what was the question?
Oh man, you lost me there.
Why did I leave?
You ditched the film school after this guy recommended it to every student. So
yeah. So then after that, my first year at URI, I posted a Nicki Minaj transformation video.
Yeah.
Because in all of my videos, the number one comment was, you look like Nicki Minaj. Oh my God, she looks like Nicki Minaj. Doesn't she look like Nicki Minaj? And it was just like constant. And I was like, they want Nicki Minaj, I'll give you Nicki Minaj. So for Halloween, I like dressed up as her and I was like, let me get it as close as possible. So then people will finally get the Nicki they're looking for. And that was my first viral video. So that one I remember
6 years ago.
Yeah. That one I remember with my friend, we were just like watching the numbers go up and we were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So we were just like sitting together in my dorm and just looking at the subscriber count. And we were like, it's going to hit 10K. Like it's going to hit 10K in the next like day or so. So we were just like watching it. And then once it did, I was like, this is so crazy. Like, I can't believe I hit 10K. And then the next viral video I had was my sophomore year. And that was my half pink, half green hair tutorial. And then that one like really boosted my channel. I think I probably came out of that with like maybe 100 50K, 200, like something around that. And
Wow.
I started working with brands like towards the end of that year. And I was like, wow, this could kind of be a career that I've been hoping for forever. And I had a lot of steam, and I didn't want to lose that because internet fame is fleeting. So it's like now or never type of thing. So then one day I was like, you know what? I should drop out and move to New York and be a YouTuber. And so I was like, yeah, let me do that. So it was maybe like 4 a.m. when of course, it's always late in the morning when I do anything.
Sun's almost up. Got to make
We're early,
decisions.
yeah.
Exactly. And it was like something that's on my mind. And I was like, I can't get it off my mind unless I like tell my dad or whatever. So I wrote out an email to my dad and I was like, here are 15 reasons why I should drop out of school and move to New York. And because he's a very logical guy, since he's a math guy, he's very logical.
Actuary, there's got to be steps. It's got to be exact. And at the end, there has to be a summary that everything adds up, right?
And that's also, I mean, that is also great clickbait. I mean, that's a good clickbait video. You need to post that.
Seriously.
That's a good one.
That'd be
right
amazing.
There.
You know what?
that
That is a good idea. I think I'm a little bit late timeline wise.
No.
If you could track that email down though,
I probably could.
Yeah, maybe just take a glance. We'll see.
Yeah,
I think it would be interesting to look at.
Yeah, I think that would be a great video. I will 100% watch that. So you'll get one view.
You get two views.
Two views.
Awesome. 3 because I'll watch it too.
Oh,
and 4 because my dad will watch it.
There you go. You're almost viral at that point.
I know. The numbers are going up quick. The numbers are going up quick on this video. But no, tell us about this setting out these steps and saying, hey, here's the 15 reasons.
Yeah, so I sent that and I was like, okay, we're waiting till the morning and we'll see what his response is. And then he called me and I was like, okay, let's see. And he was like, I read your email and it makes a lot of sense. And I think that it could be a good idea, but your mother's in Jamaica right now, so we can't really talk to her about it. So we'll just see what she says when she gets back, or if he has like a 2-second phone call. And she loves being in Jamaica, so she's really happy there. And I was like, this is perfect, great timing. Let's ask her now. We only have 2 minutes on the call. Ask her now. She's happy. Let's go. So he did. And she's like, yeah, like, sure. And I was like, okay, I'm taking this. I'm going. I'm dropping out. It was like the end of the second semester. So I was like, I'm just going to like wait until I can lock in my credits and then I'm going.
Right. A logical thing to do.
Thank you. I get it from my dad.
There you go.
I did that and I didn't know anything about New York or like, because I'd been there once. I went there once during my sophomore year because it was like there was this beauty event I got invited to by Michelle Phan, and she was like the biggest deal. She had just launched Ipsy, her like makeup line, and I was like, there's no way I'm not going to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry?
I said absolutely. Like if you get that invite, like I'm glad that you took advantage of that, because I feel like so many people get things and they don't jump on it and they're like, oh, if I don't, I could do something later. But it seems like the moment's happened for you. And you take advantage.
And I was so excited about that. So I was like, I gotta go. Let me figure out how to get to New York. Let me figure out like what am I supposed to, where do I stay? Do I like take cabs places? Like it was before Uber was like really like that much of a thing. Yeah. So I just had to figure that out, and I made friends there. I had a great time. Like it was amazing. So I was just like, that's where I want to live. And I know it was an impulsive decision, but it worked out and I'm glad I did it. So,
but it was impulsive with data behind it. Like
it's backed up.
Yeah.
That's something. It's not like you were just like, I'm leaving, I'm just going to figure it out when I get there. I mean, you were figuring it out, but you were pointing in the right direction. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different than just being like, I'm just not going to do school and move to New York and we'll see what I'm going to do. Like you had an idea. You had an idea. And I think one thing that we want to, like, we always talk about is you talked about, kind of that video and you're like, it's going to hit 10,000K. Like, what was that feeling? Because we always talk about milestones that kind of inch people a little bit forward to moving into this YouTube thing, which we'll obviously, we'll talk about now. We'll get into a little bit more, but what was that like, seeing that happen? Was there, when you're reflecting kind of internally, you're like, okay, this maybe is something that I can really, move forward with as a potential career?
Oh yeah, all of the milestones have just really like propelled my like my desire to go get it, because it's like if you're hitting all of these goals, then like you're just getting closer and closer, and like I'm not going to waste that opportunity. And I was just so excited, like with my friend. He also made videos at the time. He doesn't really anymore, but like he got it. He was like, oh my god, like this is big. And I was like, yeah, it is. So just together it was just like so hype. So I was just
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, I'm gonna keep going, gotta keep going. And then same thing sophomore year when I hit 100K, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is
It's gotta
big
be
time.
And that's
it's gotta
early.
be
And I mean,
cool to
that's
get
pretty
the
early
plaque
YouTube.
in college. Like you get the plaque and then like I feel like so many people don't understand the plaque, and they could probably walk into your dorm room like, hey, what's up? Okay, let's hang out. And there's this amazing accomplishment plaque on the wall. But how was that, having that in your dorm?
That was amazing. I remember I did a video where I was unboxing the plaque and I was so excited. I think the video's gone. I don't know. A lot of my videos are gone.
We'll talk about
We're
the
gonna find
reasoning
them.
there. I definitely want to talk.
We're gonna find them.
126 videos I found suspect. Right?
Was the plaque any different? And also, you were part of. I mean, back then, that's kind of a small elite group. Like, there's a very small percentage of people that hit that.
Yeah.
That must
Yeah,
have been awesome.
actually, do you
But was
want
the
to
plaque
see it?
any
I have
different,
it
or was it the
right
same?
here.
Yeah,
Of
we'll
course
grab
we
it.
wanna
Let's
see
go.
it.
Bring it in.
I'm sorry
And
for
now-
those
and
who are
now
listening, but
and now entering. Come on in. The plaque. We're having the plaque join the
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, put some music on
Going
here.
here today, and now we are hosted with the plaque. Let's
All
see
right.
it.
Wow.
So this is the old one. They don't make them
Yeah.
like this
Look at that. No
anymore. It's just like
fingerprints.
the flat silver this
Yeah.
time. But I have like the actual play button, which is
That's
so
cool.
cool.
That's a great.
Yeah,
They need to go back to that, because
they
that is
do.
way cooler than the one they have today.
It really is. This is
Yeah.
a play button. The other one is just a sheet of metal with an
Right.
engraved thing.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it's not as neat as it is in that one. I'm so stoked that you pulled that out. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's actually the first one we've seen on the podcast. So
We've seen
Oh,
a couple,
wow.
but
I think
but
that's the
they're
first
all
one
they're
we
all
popped up.
on the sets. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
bring
is the
it
first,
in. It's like
first one that's been brought
it's
in
like a
and
member of the house.
ceremonial. So
Did you shadow box that yourself, or did it come like that?
Sorry?
Did you shadow box that yourself, or did it?
Oh, it
already
came
come?
like that.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Good to know. Sorry, Mike.
So you take this kind of gap year and you focus on YouTube and you're putting all of your time into the channel. What happens then?
After it took me a long time to kind of get used to living alone, because I was like what, 19 when I went there, and I didn't really know like what was what. And so I was staying at my friend's aunt's apartment while I was looking for places and like figuring out like where I'm supposed to live. And
in a massively urban environment, that one block could make a difference of certain things, like not like it could just make a difference of like who you meet and friends, because people are pretty tight in the neighborhoods that they live in. So
yeah, so I did my best. I should have done research, or if I had more time I would have done better, but I ended up moving to Washington Heights, which was like, okay, but there are way better places. But yeah, so I was like figuring out how to do that, how to like be a person that just like lives alone. And it was kind of scary, and I was just like figuring out details for that, and then also for YouTube. So it took me like a year to kind of settle. And then towards the end of the year, I was like, you know what? I dropped out, but I still have all of these student loans that I'm having to pay for no reason because I don't even have a degree. So let me just go finish that. So then I'm like paying this for a reason. And so I have a backup plan. So I dropped back in and I went to FIT.
yep.
And I went for entrepreneurship again. It was a new program that they had just started like under the business school. So it was super small. And I just did it so I could get that paper. Like I learned nothing there.
We all did that. Unfortunately, you do have to have that degree. But I think one cool thing that you just said about moving to like Washington Heights or someplace that maybe not is like the perfect exact environment. One thing that's typically happens is it forces you to either give up on everything because you go down the negative path, but it's not, I don't ever see you doing that in that sense, but maybe it forced you to get out and explore, like, okay, got to get out. Maybe I'm going to go over here. Maybe I'm going to go to Brooklyn. Maybe I'm going to go over to this neighborhood or go here and do this, visit this place. Is that what happened when you lived there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
During that time, I was like, okay, let me get to know New York. Let me figure out what I like. Let me try and make some friends and like see where they live or their opinions on different neighborhoods or whatever. So I definitely like, I left my lease after like 7 months in when I figured out where I actually wanted to be, but it was definitely a learning experience.
You became a New Yorker immediately. I don't.
Yeah.
So many of my friends in New York like leave their leases in the middle, like, no, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm like, it is such a like. Everywhere I've lived, I'm like, no, you have to finish the lease. Like, you got to just do it. But New York, all my friends are the same way. Like, just did it.
That's
went
crazy.
Over here, did that.
I gotta ask a question about. So, I mean, obviously, you did film and all that. Going to new places as somebody who just likes photography, I love. That's the best way to explore. Are you big into photography? Like, did that help you explore if you were into photography, or were you ever into that at all?
I'm kind of getting into it a little bit more now, but not really like explorative photography. I like taking portraits of my friends. And I think that's also because I'm best at portraits. So if you go on my Instagram, it's like a lot of it is portraits and not like full body or like city stuff. And I just got so used to that now I know how to take a good portrait. And I have some beautiful friends who just have like terrible photos on their Instagram and they just need help. And like I had to help my friend set up a dating profile and her photos were trash. Like, she's a beautiful girl. And I was like, girl, we can't like.
I love that you broke down. You're like, listen, we got to do this another day because we can't do this right now. Like, we got to go get some content.
We need to get together. We need to go on the subway, figure out where we're going to go, plan our day. I'm going to build a shot list for you and we're going to go do this. That's awesome. Did it work out well for her?
Oh yeah. Oh, it worked out so well.
A good picture on dating apps does
and you charge how much for that service?
A hug full of love. That's all that I need.
You heard it here. You heard it here. No, I was just curious because I was going to say, I know photography is like a great way to explore. And I didn't know if you were into it or not. And I thought maybe that would be like kind of a conduit to get you out and a catalyst to move you around. Yeah. I
just don't really take I guess like I'll take pictures of places that I explore, but that's not what I like intend to do when I go out. Yeah. But I've discovered that I really do like setting up people's dating profiles because I know all the secrets. We did like a 4 outfit shoot for her. So we did like a really cute one where it's like she's in a dress and like she's like done up real sweet and whatever. So you can show that she's like a really nice girl. And then the next one was like very edgy and it's like black heels, mesh top, like she's a hot girl too, don't worry. And then there's like
I love this. I love this.
And there's one in her like Sailor Moon dress because it's like, okay, here's a hobby that you want to show because you want to show like who you are also. And then the last one was a bikini shoot, also because she's hot. So
pop it in there. Just pop it in there, you know.
If you got assets, like, you know, why not? So
fantastic. I mean, what a good friend, by the way. Like, hey, seriously, you're like, listen, I'm gonna help you out, but it's gonna be a little more involving than you think because we're gonna have to go do some stuff. Yeah, it reminds me of Men in Black when he's like, we gotta figure this out. Yeah, like, we gotta like, I don't know what this is, but we gotta figure this out.
So it seems like, I mean, that you broke that down into like very, very, very clear goals and into that. And like, I mean, that was so far out of what I would have ever done and have ever done. So like, how did you come about that kind of process? Is that just from your love of styling and fashion and seeing photos and magazines and video and things like that? How did you get there?
I think that, well, my sister was doing this like dating thing on her story. So she would post pictures of her friends that are single, describe how she met them and her thoughts, and then like their hobbies or something. And so she needed like 2 pictures of each person. And my friend sent in some pictures and she was just like, girl, no, like you can't post these because it just didn't represent her well. So then I was like, we're gonna fix that for you. So that's kind of what got me into that. And then ever since that, just a lot of my friends asked me for like help with their profiles. And I don't know, I think I know dating apps really well. So
I don't know if it's dating apps. I think you know brand well. I think you
Yeah.
know how to like,
create
you
a
know,
brand.
a brand and what speaks to the brand is kind of what it seems like. You know what I mean? Like I think you have a feel for, hey, here's your energy, here's your vibe. Let's accurately portray that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is a nice way to put it.
because you
Yeah,
even,
I'm his brand.
yeah, no, 100%. Because like you put it into like these categories. Okay, we're gonna do like, we're gonna show you as a nice person. We're gonna show you as like you're hot. And we're gonna show a hobby, right? It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like you're like, okay, your hobby is deep sea fishing. We're gonna get you on a boat, take you out. We're gonna get an action shot. You're like, okay, I'm gonna accentuate the hobby that you do and make it, you know, like viewable to the masses in that sense. You are 100% correct, JP. I would imagine that came from you finishing out your degree and completing all of those classes in entrepreneurship, because I'm sure you took a class on branding.
Yeah, I did. So I did take some good classes at URI. All of the FIT classes were exactly the same.
Really?
All of them. They're like, good morning, let's start with value proposition. And it's like, didn't we do that for the last 4 semesters?
Right.
So
Let's do a SWOT analysis of something. I'm like, okay, cool, great. How many times can we do this? This is awesome. Yeah. The unfortunate reality of college is sometimes gets a little flat in that sense, but you know, you have a creative outlet through all of college. You graduate college. One thing I want to talk about, before you graduated, you did an internship, I believe, at Moved, and you were kind of their social media guru. Obviously, this is a classic business. Like, let's get a young hip girl to do our social media. It always works out well, but like, what did you learn from doing that internship that may have helped boost your social media presence?
Well, I did it for 1 month. So I wasn't there for like too long, but I helped set up the strategy and like a posting schedule, and figuring out the branding for that. That one was really hard because it's like a moving company. How do you make that like interesting to look at, or like interesting on Instagram? Because it's not like as visual as like a clothing company or whatever. Right. So we landed on like inspirational content, like after you move you can make your place look like this, or like moving will be really simple and you can do this. So it's kind of, it was interesting to do something that's less visual and more of like branding, kind of like how you guys said earlier. It's like discovering the branding and then working with that.
Right. You broke it down. I mean, I do this almost every day at work, and it's like you need to determine what is going to be the most engaging to your audience. And you guys went with inspirational, which is obviously a super fun one to do. You're not like doing product announcements or tools that will help people. However, I'm sure there were tools in the moving world, like use our app, take pictures of things, get a quote on. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, it's interesting. So even from a posting schedule and creating those branding best practices, how did you then implement them in your YouTube channel? Did that affect your posting? Did you say, hey, I saw when I posted 5 times this in this schedule, it really grew us. I'm going to do that on my Instagram and whatever else, Twitter or something?
Honestly, no, I don't think it really, because like I have mine down. Like I feel like I understand it pretty well. And theirs is just like a very different topic. So I was more applying what I knew from mine to theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote blog posts for them. And I think that is something that's really helpful, because people look at pictures, but if they want information or something that's more substantial, that gives more value, then it's nice to like link back to something. And that's what I do with YouTube already. Like I post photos and then I link back and I'm like, for the tutorial, go to my channel. So I think it just kind of works both ways.
Yeah. And I think your audience also is much more receptive to reading and being engaged. The fashion industry is very much like my wife is, first off, she was like, she does all of our social media. She posts all the pictures and things like that on her Instagram.
Shout out Kat.
Yeah, shout out Kat. She was like, oh my God, who's this girl? Like, she's awesome. Like, she's so much thank God that you're getting out of skateboards and cars and bringing someone interesting onto your podcast. I'm like, oh, thanks, honey, this is great. But so, you're developing all these kind of best practices, but your audience is definitely much more receptive to reading, because my wife will go and click on either a recipe or someone who's a blogger and read their blog and watch their video. Where like, I feel like car people, if you post, oh, read my blog on this, but they're not going to do that. They're going to watch the video and expect to see things. So how does that play into your growth strategy?
Yeah, so blogging helped with mood, and for me, people want videos,
Okay.
especially because mine is just like mostly visual. So I kind of just tried to like cross pollinate, because a lot of people are just YouTube people. They'll just sit there and watch YouTube videos for like ever, and then they don't really go on Instagram that much. And then there are people who are on Instagram and maybe they'll click links and go to YouTube, or if someone really likes me on YouTube, then they'll follow me on Instagram. So it's important to like shout out both things on each platform, and like even Twitter as well, which is something that I really like to pay attention to, because I'll meet people on Twitter and I'll become like good like friends with them. Like we'll comment back and forth, and I'll see them on like a bunch of different tweets they're replying to, or we'll like DM a little bit. And then I go on Instagram and I see that that person with the same profile followed me. So I know that it's like, you just kind of have to like post on all of them and then kind of like recommend the other platforms. And then that's how they'll find each other. And I think a lot of my Instagram people have found me through YouTube.
That's interesting. So like now I think this is a great transition into YouTube itself. And so you have so many platforms in the world to use, right? Especially now, TikTok, and before when you started early on, you could have done MySpace, right? You could have done any platform out there, Facebook, Vimeo, anything in the infancy of Vimeo, especially. So why did you choose to create a YouTube channel? What was the draw to creating YouTube? And then like nowadays, let's start there. And then I want to also transition to like now that you have this presence, like how do you determine what content goes where?
Yeah, so I started on YouTube because I was obsessed with watching YouTube videos, and I spent like a full year just watching them straight, like all the time. And like, wow, I'm like kind of learning a lot about my sleep schedule during this, but I would stay up till
We'll get into that.
3, 4 a.m. just watching. And I subscribed to every single beauty blogger, like literally every single beauty blogger that spoke English. Even if they had like 60 subscribers or whatever, like I subscribed to every single one. And it was just like I was obsessed with watching. And it was also during that time period where it's like you're kind of developing your own style and you're really into blue mascara and you want to see what else you can do, and like watching these other normal people express themselves and then like learning stuff along the way. So I watched like every day for a year, and then I was like, I kind of want to do this too, because I have different looks that I want to document, and then I can see if I ever wanted to do it again in like 3 weeks, I can remember what products I used, or I can keep track of like what my foundation color is in the summer versus winter. And then maybe some other people will also find it interesting. And also the other thing is people like to find your skin match. So if you find a blogger who's the exact same color, then you can just copy all of their foundation and their like whatever looks they're doing. So I think that was also an interesting thing, because people were finding me as their skin match. So yeah, I started doing it, and it was just really fun. And for like a couple years, like nobody watched, but like I still liked it.
So how do you keep up with that passion? Because that's a very difficult thing to do, right? We were talking earlier, breaking 1,000, doing those kind of things where you're putting so much work into those videos. They're not easy. They take a lot of time editing, putting it out there, and then you get 11 views. You get 30 views.
Well, I guess it's like if you have any other hobby, like you play chess every day for a couple hours. Nobody's watching, but you're still enjoying it and you're still getting better at it.
Yeah. It's a very, very, very solid.
I got a question of that first year where you kind of just, you're just watching, you're subscribing to channels, you're doing all this, are you also actively doing the tutorials? Like, were you kind of picking up a cadence and understanding like, hey, here's how people go through tutorials and things like that? Were you actually going through with them and doing them as well?
I think like subconsciously I was like, I just understood it, because if you just see it all the time, you kind of get it. And I think that's like any platform that people are good at, it's because they spend a lot of time on it. So just being a serial YouTube watcher made me just like effortlessly, like I just got the culture, like I got it. But that's why I'm also not good at TikTok, because I don't go on TikTok like that. So I don't really like get the culture as much. So I don't really like post on there as much. And like if I do, it's just like I don't really expect anything. But I know, like I know YouTube, I know Twitter, and I know Instagram. So I have some homework to do, but
you're a purist. I love it. Not that
Yeah.
I hate TikTok. I just think there's a lot of value in like the longer format videos and really getting to know somebody. And we talk about this all the time. It's, you know, the chameleons out there, like they like you for who you are. They want to follow you. That's just one piece. We can dive into that in a second. I did have one other note. Have you ever, now that you were kind of following these people back in the day, have you met up with any of these folks that had like big YouTubes back in the day that you followed that kind of inspired you?
I've met a bunch of YouTubers. There's like a really tight knit curly community. Because like way back
Get
in
Luca
the
in there,
day,
Mike.
Yeah, Luca will join.
Get Luca in.
He's got the curls for it for sure.
I'll
Curls
send
for the
him some
girls. That's
products.
what they say.
We'll get him on
Curls
a
for the
repeat.
girls.
But yeah, like early-ish on when I first got here, the curly community was like very tight knit, and it was this whole thing because a lot of people back then didn't know how to take care of their curls, because if you're white, you can't like do the same, like if your parent is white, my dad's white, I can't just do whatever he does to his hair. And if your mom's black, also can't do what she does to her hair. And like neither of them got it. So I just like didn't, like I would straighten my hair all the time. I just like didn't know. So there are a lot of people out there like that. So doing like curly tutorials, once I like actually understood and then would make them, people would be like, oh my gosh, my curls are out. It's not frizzy. It's not like how, like I'm not using like straight hair products anymore. So that was like kind of like revolutionary for a lot of people, including me, because I would watch all of the videos and then learn that way. So then there would be like events where it's like all curly people for like some curly hair brand. And I met a bunch of people that I would see their videos, and it was really cool. Also like VidCon used to be really good. So I went to a couple of those, and you would just meet people. And then like even just living in New York City, you just meet people. So you just go to the right places, you'll just meet people.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I like that you were talking about like community and these sub communities within YouTube. And I think that's one thing that has been an underlying theme within what you're doing and in all of our podcasts, right? Like you are truly trying to create a community of people who are like-minded in so many ways to you. And the first video that you posted on your channel was that how to cut curly hair. And I understand it much more now, especially because of what you described about your family life. You know, it's tough for one person to describe something to someone else, right? Like, especially if they're not in the same exact boat, right? Your father couldn't describe it to you. Your mother can't really describe it to you. So you go to this amazing place called YouTube, the second largest search engine, and you say, learn. I want to learn, figure it out. There's someone out there who's going through the same thing. You can pick that information up. And then you did it one step further by saying, I've learned from all these people. I'm going to put my message out there and I'm going to spread this positivity. And I want other like-minded people to say, this is a safe place for me to come and learn. And I want you to learn from mistakes or things that I've learned out there. I think it's an awesome message to put out there. And I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's such an interactive community that you're with. It's like, I imagine it of like a library, but instead of just, I mean, obviously you have books and you have this, but it's like, it's everyone's life and their style. And it's like, you can kind of find your own little lunch table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very cool. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. And YouTube breaks down all of those barriers in my mind because it's equal opportunity. you could be whoever or whatever you are out in the world, and any viewpoint that you have, you can post there, and there's a community for you. Now, that can get negative in a lot of ways, but the vast majority of people, maybe it's just us who we follow, I'm sure you're in the same boat, the vast majority of people who are commenting, the vast majority of videos I'm watching are very positively driven. So I'm thankful for that. So all right, well,
let's
talk.
Let's migrate. Well, let's talk about the decision. This is where we see, everyone that we talk to and what got them to their YouTube when they kind of make the break to go full-time YouTube. When was that kind of that point where you said, this is it? This is what I'm focusing on. I'm putting everything I got into the YouTube. I'm not looking for, a job outside of it. I just want to YouTube. I want to make videos. I want to share my content. I want to be a part of the community. When did that happen, and what was that like for you?
That would be the day I emailed my dad, where I was like, you know what? I'm all in. I want to do this, and I'm going to do it in New York. I'm going to figure out, I'm going to make it happen. And then in New York, I have to pay rent. So I have to make videos and I have to do it well. And it's just kind of like a fire under you, where it's like, there's no way that you can fail, because you don't have the option to. So I think that also really helps, because it just kind of forced me to do it. Otherwise, maybe it would still just be a hobby. Who knows?
Yeah. It's the dog walk to get the camera.
Yeah.
Very much.
I mean, that's it. It's like, I got the apartment, it's like, now I gotta walk the dog. I gotta make the YouTube.
I love that.
Love that. That's great.
And so now you're full-time YouTube. You're doing this all day, every day. You're building a business and a brand of yourself. How do you determine what your next video is going to be, your cadence, and which content goes where? Are you cutting up your YouTube videos to post them on Instagram, or is there specific Instagram content? How do you make those decisions?
Driven by trends, all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a list of a bunch of videos that I want to make. Probably 150 ideas on the list. And that's just, it's been accumulating for forever. So
yeah. And do you write those in the middle of the night when you're up all night, or where do you put
I write it whenever I think about it. If I'm in the bathtub, I'm getting my phone. If I'm sleeping and it's a dream, I'm waking up, whatever it is, I have to write stuff down, because I'll forget, but I write everything down.
Are you going Google Sheets, or are you going notes? The people want to know.
No, I love notes.
Wow, going with notes. Bold strategy.
I do everything in notes. I don't it's just there, and it's fast. You can do the bulleted things, check marks, all I need.
Gotta have a check mark. If you don't check it off, did it really happen?
Exactly.
It did not. It did not happen if it didn't. That's awesome.
But
tell us more about that. Yeah.
That's my YouTube list. And then for Instagram, I started making a separate list, because now that videos are kind of big on Instagram, and it's not just photos anymore. I want to I have ideas for that. So I just write it down. It's a lot shorter of a list. And Instagram is so much faster too. So I don't know, you just kind of turn through stuff. But a lot of the time I do chop down a YouTube video into an Instagram one, if it makes sense. So if it's more of a visual, here's how it is, chop, whatever, paint. And that's good on either platform. But if it's more of a talking video, or more of a something that just wouldn't really make sense that much on Instagram, then I just leave it on YouTube. But shorter ideas where I just I have an idea, but it wouldn't make sense as a full 10-minute video, then I'll do that on Instagram. And I also use Instagram videos and post that on TikTok, because as I said, I'm still learning that.
yeah, you and everyone else. I feel it's the recycle machine of social media at this point right now.
But you're an old head. You're an old head. You're an old head at YouTube. 2010 is old YouTube, honey. I mean, that's old.
Yeah.
YouTube. You're an old head. That's
I know.
So TikTok tests are what do you mean you don't want to watch 16 minutes of this?
Yeah, but it's kind of funny, because all of my siblings plus my dad are like hardcore TikTokers.
Really?
Like my dad has no social media at all, no Facebook, YouTube,
Just
Instagram,
TikTok.
Twitter, nothing. And he just made a TikTok the other day. And I was just like, out of all of the social media, this dude only has a TikTok.
You're like,
And
I have
he
a
literally just
YouTube.
sent me he just sent me a link to a TikTok right now. And like they just keep sending all of them. Like half of my group chats are all TikToks. But I think
you're the oldest of your siblings, aren't you?
I'm the second.
Second.
So I have one older sister who lives in the Upper East Side, but she copied me. She moved here after I did.
Yeah,
And
classic.
then my 3 younger siblings are all in Connecticut.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But they're all just like way better at TikTok. But I think they are helping curate my feed because it's like the algorithm, it just knows you. So anytime they send me something good, I heart it. Anytime they send me something stupid, I X out before it's finished so then I don't get that on my page.
Smart move. I think you're probably going to be consulting your dad here soon as far as TikTok goes, I think. No, that's awesome though. And yeah, TikTok's a weird landscape to navigate. And I think maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I mean, I thought Peter McKinnon did a great job doing a breakdown. If you know who Peter McKinnon is, of kind of him posting on all those different various formats. It's kind of interesting to see, but for you and kind of your content, obviously you could cut down like your videos into quick little short, very easy to consume bits for people to watch, but also like the greater stories is like, how do you do it? Like, it's fun to watch like a couple seconds, but it's like, is your goal to steer back to YouTube?
I think right now TikTok is the fastest way to grow. So I think I would use that to funnel back to YouTube and Instagram. Because you also never know. Like last TikTok was Vine, and like Vine just got shut down out of nowhere. So all the Viners were like, okay, there's my job. So they were all trying to migrate everyone over to Instagram before it like actually shut down. And I think that's what, I don't think TikTok's going away, but I think that's the strategy that I want to do. Because I know YouTube is like, as you said, the second largest search engine. So I don't think that's going to go away, but who knows if TikTok's going to get banned or if it's going to get harder to be discovered on, or like, who knows? So that's something.
Algorithm.
Yes. So that is something, sorry?
The algorithm could change in a second, and now whoever's a million and whatever it is, but it is the fastest social media to get to 1 million subscribers. It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's why I need to start doing it. I'm going to call my dad after this.
It's such a weird, like, dare I call it a fad? Like, I don't know. Like, it's so, I don't know. Maybe it's just my old.
It's hard to say. I don't know. JP just got frozen, but I'll go back to the 150 things you have on your list.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's more than the videos that you have on your channel today, right? I want to keep going back to that because it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you prioritize the videos that you have out there, right? Like you have 150 plus on your list. Do you scroll through it? Okay, I got to make a video this week. Scroll through it. Oh, here's a good idea. This is the one I want to do. Or is there like a creative process to the brand? I want to do a fashion video. I want to do a trend video. I want to do a beauty video. I want to do a something with my hair this month. Is it that schedule, or how are you coming up with what's going out there?
I think it's kind of a mix of both, because a lot of people go to my channel for hair stuff. So I want to make sure that I'm posting a lot of hair stuff, but then in between, I want to post either like stuff that I just want to post, because it does get a little bit like monotonous posting only things that you think people want to see. And that's not really like I'm passionate about making other things. And like, I know it's not going to be do as well as a hair tutorial, but I also want to kind of like pivot my channel to be a little bit more encompassing. So you have to do that. As far as other ideas, like I just have them and I just do them. I have like a bucket of like physical products that I want to do. So like some products are just like I have these like hair kind of like roller things that are kind of interesting for people with curly hair. So I want to do a video on that. So like that's in the bucket.
Yeah.
And then just like anything else that I would physically need, that's in the bucket. And then I also have the ideas, and sometimes people request stuff. So it just kind of like naturally flows that way.
I think George said a similar thing. George Poulos, your friend, and thanks George for introducing us.
George.
Yeah, he had a similar idea on YouTube. It's like it's that kind of like you have to feed the beast a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. But you also have to balance with your passion, because if you get too far onto the beast, you're gonna lose your passion, and then you're not gonna love
steer away from it.
Right. So I think that you said it right there, is like, I have things that I want to do.
Yeah.
I have things that I don't want to say have to do, but like I kind of, you kind of got to keep the brand going that you created.
Yeah.
And then there's things that are like, hey, let's just see if this works. And then there's things that like, hey guys, you guys requested this. You're part of my community. I want to show you that I listen and I'm into it. So I love that. I love it. It really is a cohesive balance. So it's pretty cool.
I have a question too when it comes to the creative process. And we talk about this a lot. There's many people who take different stances on it. There's people who live by it. There's people who ignore it completely. Comment section.
Ooh.
Now, do you derive ideas from there? Do you interact? Do you stay away? Do you turn? I mean, there's a couple of videos with comments off. There's a couple with on. Let's talk about that, because that's a big piece.
Yeah, I love the comments, because especially like the first comments, it's always the same people.
Yeah,
like
that's awesome.
I have one subscriber who immediately, he's like almost always first. He's usually like first or second. He'll always comment first, but like sometimes he's second. But I'll just roll with it. And there was one time he like had my post notification on. He went there and he commented, and he was like, I'm going to come back because I'm in class right now, so I haven't watched it, but I'm first. So then like a couple hours later, he came back, watched it, and then commented about something that was in the video.
That's awesome.
And
that's the loyalty. Yeah,
it is. I love that. And that's like my favorite thing. As soon as I press publish, I'm like, yes, comments. Like, I love it. And up until like, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Up until like it was physically possible, I replied to every single comment. And I remember I was like reading someone like reviewed me on like some website, and they were like 5 out of 5, she's really nice and replies to every comment. And I was like, oh my gosh, like people like really notice that, and like that's really cool. And then the other thing is that since it's like educational videos, people ask questions that they kind of need to know the answer before they can actually follow the tutorial. So people will comment questions about like, if my hair is a little bit lighter than yours, what toner should I use? And so then like that's kind of like a little bit time sensitive, or they'll like DM me on Instagram. A lot of people have been switching to DMing, but I just like, I answer everything, and I tried my best to keep up with YouTube comments, but also they're mostly like really positive, so I appreciate that.
That's good. I mean, you love to have the positive comments. And do you ever kind of pose questions to people? I know we have some people that put in like, hey, keywords. Like we're talking to this guy that makes he makes beautiful tabletops and countertops and desks, and at the end of it he puts in a keyword and he puts it in the comments. So like when everyone wants to comment, if they say the keyword that he said at the end of the video, he knows they watched all the way through. Do you ever like interact like those type of things, or like do you ever pull content like from their ideas of like, hey, you should do this? Like, do you ever kind of, I mean, that list on your notes, like do some of those come from the comment section?
Yeah, so that's another thing. When someone requests something, especially if it's like, if I think it's a good idea, or if more people are requesting it or whatever, it goes straight on the list. And that's also why I like the community. Like I feel like we're kind of friends, and like I have become friends with some of them, because I've had like meetups here, and I've seen some of the people go to several meetups, that I've had. So like I just kind of like really get to know them. And then there's one girl, she was at like every single thing that I've ever been to. So we became friends. We text every now and then. She hits me up to see how I'm doing.
Cool.
And then there's this other girl who's also like an OG subscriber from like ever ago. And then when I moved here, we're in the same state. And I used to talk about like, I used to have a vlog channel. That's all deleted too. Well, it's privated.
We're gonna dig it up. It's coming back. We're digging the whole thing up.
You'll never find it.
I'm not that good, but we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I just never say never.
No,
I'm
that's funny. But on my vlog channel, I used to talk about this band that I liked. And then that girl who had watched my vlogs started liking it too. So we like kind of bonded over that. And then I mentioned that I was going to go to one of their concerts. So she also showed up at the concert, and then we met again.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, so I follow her now. She's pretty cool.
You get recognized? You get recognized out on the street?
When I first came here, I did a solid amount. Right now, it's kind of just like here and there, like I'll run into sometimes people will be like, Camille, and I'm like, oh, that's just in my head. And then they'll be like, Camille, and I'll be like,
Camille, no, it's a vanilla latte for Camille. And you're like, oh yeah, sorry, that is me. I thought you were a fan.
Yeah, but there is also, this was like not that long ago, I was on a train and this girl was like, oh, like I watch your videos, and we were chatting, and she had like brightly colored hair, and it was like really fun. And then we took some pictures, and she's like, send it to me. And I was like, okay, I'll airdrop it to you. But all of the airdrops, it didn't say any names. It just said iPhone. So I was like, oh, I don't know which one is yours. So I'll just send it to everyone. So I just airdropped it to everyone.
I love that.
I was like, it'll get to her somehow.
Eventually.
And then on Twitter, the next day, someone had tweeted, I was on the subway and this random girl just airdropped this picture of her and this other girl on the train. And then someone replied to it and they're like, oh, that's Offbeat Look. And like,
that's awesome.
She was that girl on the train.
That's amazing. The communities that are created through these social medias. I think YouTube, I don't really understand Twitter. My cousin tried to describe it to me like a year ago. I was like, yeah, you should use this to grow your channel. I was like, I don't get this. But it seems like you have a good community there. And I love, that's my favorite part about YouTube is like you said earlier on, when I watch someone's video, I feel like I'm friends with them. I feel like I'm part of this community. And that's what draws me to watch and come back to the channel. So my final kind of question is an interesting one in the sense of, I hadn't thought about this until I was watching or listening to a podcast while I was working on my pond, which is a whole crapshoot right now. But you're doing something very interesting. At least in some of your videos, you're full on experimenting with your body on YouTube. It's a very weird thing. So like, how does that, how do you portray that? How does that feel? Like what happens if something goes wrong? Right. Like what happens if, yeah, it's weird. You're putting yourself out there in this very weird way. How does that feel to you to put that out on the internet?
It feels a little bit strange, but I feel like it's kind of my job.
Right.
Because if I'm going to review a bunch of different bleaches and people are like, try the Schwarzkopf one. That was one that people were commenting. They're like, try the Schwarzkopf one. So I was like, okay, let me Google it. I'll buy it and I'll try it. And it was like the most amazing bleach that I had ever used. So I was really glad that someone recommended that. And then sometimes it's just like an okay product. Like I've done like bleach bonding agents that I've tried a few different ones. One was just like, okay, it wasn't that great, but I was like, now everybody knows not to buy it. And nothing's gone like horribly wrong. So I feel like it's like helpful for them. But if something does go wrong, I'm suing whoever told me to buy it.
Yeah, take that comment section.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see you in court.
She's coming after you.
We will see you in court.
No, it's an interesting take on it too, and I'm glad that nothing's ever gone horribly wrong. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and they were talking about like another side of that whole kind of premise of where guys and girls are taking like different supplements and saying, I'm going to get jacked off this, and things can go terribly wrong. So luckily, the one thing that my mentality on hair has always been, when I was in high school, I dyed my hair every year, bleach right before our final swim meet. We'd always bleach our hair and then shave it. I looked like Draco Malfoy. It was terrible.
And you went to a Harry Potter school, so that makes a
I did
lot
go
of
to,
sense.
I also went to
very
a
adding up.
yeah,
to Harry Potter school. So
I also went to a
makes
boarding
sense.
school, but my thought process on hair was like, if it's messed up or something, you can always cut it
Cut
off. It grows back.
Head.
Right.
It's just
It-
hair.
Yeah. I love that. That's amazing. So hey, it's really interesting to hear how you got to YouTube, because it's always cool to see someone who loves watching YouTube create a channel and become successful, because it shows that it can happen.
Yeah.
It also shows like it's work. It's going to take time, and you just got to find your passion and figure out the algorithm that fit to you best. So thanks so much for telling your stories today. That was all I had. JP, I think you got one more for us.
Now that I think about it, I have another question that I want to ask.
Two more.
It makes sense. I feel like you should be dyeing professional athletes' hair. Have you ever dyed a professional athlete's hair?
No, I
You
haven't.
should think about it. I think with the craze of
If a
dyeing
professional
hairs,
athlete wanted me to dye their hair, I would be very down for it.
yeah, could you imagine like Odell Beckham Jr. or something? Like that'd be great. If you
I'm going to start sending some emails after
Yeah.
this.
Well, yeah.
Oh, the
I
first
think
one's
you
going to
should.
your dad about TikTok, right? You're going to talk to
TikTok.
him.
Yeah.
And I know Odell well. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that wouldn't it be great? Like I just look at like soccer haircuts, especially, and like, you know, I just think there's a lot of room in that sports. It'd be sick if you did like, you know, some athlete's hair and did something like fun for a game or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I've dyed a beard before, like a bright blue beard. So if any athletes want colorful beards, I'm very down for that.
Or hair.
Or hair.
Yeah.
And that
Any type of hair.
that was the Blue Man Group, or it wasn't?
It should have been.
Should have been the Blue Man Group. Should have been the Blue Man Group. I believe they're hairless like cats.
I think they are. I think it's all wigs though.
No, I think you know the question that we ask a lot too is just kind of like my last piece is, who do you currently watch on YouTube, and who do you draw inspiration from, and kind of what's kind of like, who are the people that you follow? Who do you like? If there's any names off the top of your head, it doesn't have to be related to what you do, but what do you like? Who do you follow?
So I'd say people who are similar channels that are my favorite are Lisette. Her username is Lisetti. I met her like really early on. She's part of the curly hair group, and she's just
curly hair gang or curly hair group. It's not, there's no definitive. Is there a hashtag?
Well, we could be curly hair cuties, curly cuties. I think I like that one the best. Curly cuties. So she was one of them, and I've known her for a long time, and she just consistently makes great content, and she's so sweet and really nice. And then another girl that does makeup is Jackie Ina. She's done so well for herself, and she's so nice. She's down to earth, which is hard because she's like one of the biggest makeup bloggers, and a lot of them, that's a whole different story, but she's really down to earth and she makes incredible videos. But as of right now, I watch more like commentary YouTubers than beauty stuff. So I love Cody Ko. You probably watch him.
Yeah.
I love Cody Ko. I love Danny Gonzalez. I just love that whole scene. So I guess it's kind of like beauty stuff, but then like I love commentary channels.
Okay, cool. Good to know. We love to capture that. One last thing, we talked about it before we started. And we're kind of, we're getting towards the end here, but let's talk about what you have coming up, because there's we talked about brand. What do you got coming up?
Yeah. So one of the things, I guess the biggest thing I'm known for is semi-permanent hair dye tutorials. So that's every color, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And I've tried like every brand, because I switch my hair all the time. I want to review different brands. I want to see what's out there. And so now I know like exactly what brand has what thing that I like, what needs to be improved on, what ingredients I would like to see in other products. So I figured that I might as well make my own brand, and I can make it perfect. I know exactly what it needs to be. I know the texture. I know the like pigmentation I want, and I have some ingredient ideas that I've never seen in dyes. So I've been working with my partner who I met at FIT, because we were in the same entrepreneurship class, and she watched me present my idea all the time. So she knew exactly what I was looking for. And she worked in beauty startups during college. So it was like literally the perfect person. So we've been working together to launch my own hair dye line. And we have been testing out different formulas, and we have settled on one that I really like. It's literally perfect. So not to toot my own horn, but like it's
Hey, you're the expert here. You're the expert.
I love it. So I'm just like, once we have now settled on the formula after all the R&D testing, like all of that, we're working on branding right now. And branding is really exciting for me because also it's kind of like a passion project. So I'm doing it slowly so I don't rush. So that's why I took enough time to like try out all of the different formulas. And now I'm on my third graphic designer because I just didn't really love what the other two did. So I'm just like going until I find something that I love. Like there's no reason to rush. Right now I have the most amazing graphic designer. We're getting close to having the label and the logo finished, and just seeing like these different steps of progress has been really exciting to me. I'm not sure when we are going to launch because that just depends on a lot of factors and logistics right now. Logistics are the most annoying part, but we're working on that right now. So hopefully I'm not even going to set a date. Hopefully
no, I don't think you should. And I like what you're doing. And it's a smart approach rather than rush something that's not finished and not exactly what you want. The approach that we, I mean, we talk about it. I mean, I'm in sales, but it's a crawl, walk, run. And what you're doing right now is a crawl, walk, run. And what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for success in the long run, right? I love that. That's great. It's fantastic. It's awesome to hear that you're building this new brand. You're stepping, you got YouTube and you're going up and above and beyond it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So we're excited to see what it is. I'm sure Mike and I will both be one of the first recipients of the product.
Oh yeah, you're the top of my PR list.
I imagine we'll be, imagine we'll be going, frosted tips, whatever you want. You know what I mean?
As long as you let me record it and make a TikTok out of it, we're all good.
Yeah.
Good. I got a buddy in New York. We'll fly out there.
That'll be the start of our TikTok channel. So,
oh boy.
No, I like that. And I'm excited to see the branding that you come up with because you truly are an expert there and an expert in the product. So I'm excited to find out what those ingredients are inside that you have never seen before, because that'll be interesting. As well as like even like little tricks that you did before, putting conditioner to dilute the color, things like I learned a lot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you kind of sound like the expert here.
No, I'm just repeating what you said. So if you are looking to change the color of your hair, you came to the right channel here right now. Not ours.
And more.
Well, the link is like right here. Click that, go change your hair color. So thanks so much. I really loved learning about how you got, like I said earlier, how you got to YouTube. I love where you're going because it's going to be such a cool journey to be able to follow. And it really is the next iteration of the passion. Just hearing you and watching you describe what's coming next, you could see everything coming out of you. There's like pouring out of passion that's in this. So I'm really stoked on it and I can't wait to see it. If I end up ever changing my hair color, well,
we'll get Luca. We'll get Luca dyed up.
I don't know.
You are an expert in passion and you followed it. It's great to see. And it's, it's a breath of fresh air. It's nice to see somebody who's been in it since, you've been doing it for, over 10 years and you've put in a lot of work. And it's great to see. This is a great example of why we do this podcast, to dig in and understand what do people go through? What are their experiences to get to where they are today? So thank you so much for joining today. It was, fantastic. Loved it. It's great.
Thank you. Make sure to send me your addresses for the PR list.
We're going to send you some stuff. I will say one thing. Yeah, I'll give you a quick run out. we'll do this. Tell us where we can follow you. Tell us your handles, your social, what you're doing right now and what you got coming up next. We just talked about the brand. It's going to be, there's no launch date. But if you see us with bleached hair, it's probably happened. No, but tell us where your social media handles are, where they can follow you, what they can expect from your channel, and what you got coming up.
All right. So all of my channels are at Offbeat Look. So you can search that on YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter. But somebody took my handle on TikTok before I could get it. So
is it your dad?
I'm gonna ask.
What if your dad, he's like, no, that's my handle. I got that.
But on TikTok, it's at Offbeat Look Official.
Okay.
There you go. That's even better.
Yeah. So you can expect more hair tutorials, more pictures, more makeup tutorials, all of that beauty stuff, plus updates about my hair dye line.
Perfect.
Boom.
And
there you go.
Yeah. So everyone, make sure you go and follow, like, comment on all those videos. And just thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And thank you for being an inspiration to women and people of every affinity in the world. You really are a positive influence. And I'm so glad that you're part of the YouTube community. And I'm so glad that we had this conversation. It's been amazing.
Me too. Thanks, George, for the connect.
Yeah, seriously.
Big shout out, George.
Yeah, George, you're the man. Check out his video too. We had him on the podcast. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and check out her channel for all of your fashion and hair needs. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys. Stay tubular, and we'll see you next Wednesday.